Oakland Raiders lost to the Cleveland Browns 23 to 13. And as you can see, for the first half it was competitive, but then of course the second half the Browns took control of the game and won. And they won because, well, you're looking at it. It's not so much the Paul Kruger issue, which I'll get to in a second, but it's their loose play defense. They don't press. And in this particular instance, the Browns under Brian Hoyer ran a wide receiver screen to Mr. Gabriel here that picked up 48 yards and a first down. So, and brought the Browns from their own territory into Raider territory in the process on the way to a score. There are other reasons why you would say, Paul Kruger, Paul Kruger, Paul Kruger, Paul Kruger. And, okay, you're right. Paul Kruger was a massive problem. But look, okay, it wasn't just Paul Kruger. If we analyze this, David Carr threw 54 times for 328 yards, but for 1 touchdown. Folks, you can't throw for that many yards and that many times and only have 1 touchdown without there being a problem in scheme and in red zone play calling and in blocking. So even though David Carr did this, you have to remember he was sacked, 5 times? Whereas Brian Hoyer was a more efficient 19 of 28 for 275 and 1 touchdown, okay? Now, when we start to look at the other part of this, we see that in terms of rushing, that Maurice Jones-Drew, this is a box score, passing, rushing. Darren McFadden was 12 for 59 yards. Longest game was 15. Maurice Jones-Drew, 6 for 8 yards. And given the kind of plays he was asked to run in, that's no surprise. They were of awful design. Whereas the Browns didn't fare much better either, but they really didn't need to because they were more efficient passing. This is a game that when you look at it, the Raiders could have won were it not for the sack problem and the fumble problem. Dave Carr had 2 fumbles, lost 1. And defensively, doesn't show here, but the bottom line is, you should say, here we go, times sacked. The Raiders, it says 3 for 12 officially, but really it was more like 5 to give you the gross yards passing. The average game per pass play, just 5.4 yards versus the Browns 9.2. There's your difference. So the Raiders are the perfect example of a team that can run a lot of plays because the plays are either poorly designed or poorly executed or not right to be ran against the opponent. They don't gain much out of them. In other words, not as productive as they could be under better designed plays more appropriate for the opponent, in this case, the Cleveland Browns.